Hello everyone, one ordinary boy died by mistake, whom Yamaraj himself has to live, sends me back to Earth with a second chance. But he has a condition for survival. Here are 3 genes in Japanese. It's called stupid. 3 spiritual objects must be brought back from them, which they stole. The hero of our story, Uram, came and killed the first Yukai, take spiritual things from him. But the twist comes when the second Yukai Shir of Uran became friends with him, instead of killing Hu one day. The friendship of the identity becomes so zero that Hu gave up half his life in the UK, and the last. That is, when to kill the third Yuka, more big secrets come out. Actually was the strongest behind all of this, 2 versions of one, UKH's intentions were terrible. About this, let's go straight to the story without revealing any more twists. Let me know that. The story is taken from a very popular manga in Japan, whose name is Yo-Yo Truth, so do not be late. Different powers let us tell the story of this world filled with yucca. The story begins. 1. By showing the scene of a fatal accident, we're wearing their school dresses. I see a young boy. He couldn't understand anything of what he was doing here. Why? Not the body that fell in front of him looked exactly like him. He was trying to understand what was happening. At that time, she, her best friend, running to the ambulance, I see that was she crying Humau when she saw that body. And with that, the boy was getting into the ambulance, repeatedly saying from behind that she's standing out. He's going to say something to the guy in front of him. Even before that, the man moved from inside her to the other side. What he sees keeps wondering he didn't die. Then we see the scene 4 hours ago. That's how it all started. So we can see now. Close to the sea in the middle of the city, it was a big task. Duty looked pretty terrible. From there comes a small insect, and keep looking for your prey. Right then, we see a boy and a girl on the roof of the schoolboy. Name is Uramishi, and girl name is Kaiko. They were both childhood friends. They're pretty furious. He doesn't want to answer anyone. She does what she wants. Meanwhile, Kaigo always tries to make him good, like don't like his cigarette smoking kayak, don't like fighting kayak, also like kayak sitting here bunking classes. I didn't say that. They are more likely to move in and out of there. At that time, we saw a boy named some students are beating together and taking money from him. That's when they get there mixed up and taking money from those bad guys. The cream will give it to him. That's exactly where the teacher comes in, and the teacher came in their machine. Or maybe he's taking money from those guys. Because of this, the teacher started giving him shit, but the weird ones don't break his mistake in the mix. Rather, he tells the teacher with the money, he will do whatever he wishes, only when he got out of school. At home then his mom watching an interview with a big businessman whose name is Sakib. Then they stayed in their town. He was talking about that big hole. Here we find out after they meet. May his mother nurtured him by hand alone. We know nothing about his father. Make your mother a cup of tea. Avoid moving around the area. At that moment, there was a boy in the area. Quivara calls him with his team ball and says, yesterday he or she was sick, so she couldn't exactly fight with Aura Messi today. He came, they should teach Messi soon a funny fight begins. Where they mixed and killed the entire team of Cubans. He was making potatoes, yet the Cubans were unwilling to give up. Finally, Aramashi left him that way and went to a restaurant. Outside the restaurant, she sees a little kid whose name was Masaru. The scene changed from here. We see a traffic jam in that city. Suddenly, the insect comes flying there and a man enters. Something happened to the man, and he started driving upside down. Every car in front crashes, he was moving forward. On the other hand, come to Uram and sit down to eat at the kayak's restaurant. Eating. That's when Kayak comes in there and trying to convince him that when the teacher misunderstood him, then why didn't he break his mistake? This makes him look bad in everyone's eyes, if on the fly. This time he answered that, let him do whatever he wishes. When he hears Kaiko say then he should die, Uramishi walks out of the restaurant saying okay, and right then. The car was on the road in that area. The driver of the car got into the bug. Everyone in the area is different. The lives were saved and the car continued to move from the front of the vehicle. Suddenly, a small boy comes in front of the car. Whoever sees Uramishi can no longer control himself. He saved Masaru, but he crushed himself under that car. This is where we can find out The mystery of the hole in the city. That hole in the city. Actually, with the devil's world, our world needed a pair. Where people go in the UK, they were the victims of the devils. Sometimes in the UK, people came to the world by that road, and people who made their own victims, the world of spirits, to prevent these things. This too closes the road between the worlds now. The scene is gone. The scene from the Mississippi accident shown at the beginning of the story, where the soul of the Oramishi comes from. The fairy of death, whose name was thought by Butler Chief, because he accepted that he is dead, it may or may not have been easy. But they mixed up and broke his misconceptions. Let him know that he accepts that he is dead. But he is from Bhutan. Not going along, so Bhutan has to run back and forth flying to the hospital where Masaru was receiving primary care. There is also mass and mass. Seeing the mother express so much gratitude to herself, Macy understands that. He's really dead, she should leave this world now. He agrees to go with Button. Button showed him that. They are on the boat of the already spirit world. This world is located within the human world, but people cannot see this world with the naked eye. Normally when someone dies, they are taken to Haven or in Hell. But they were going to take Messi. In the world of souls, he is taken straight to Inmar's son. Kwenma Yanma is like the Yamraj of their religion, just seeing her son Kwenma on life support, doing who will go to hell and who will go to heaven. But what was I doing there? Why wasn't he being sent to Helbehaven? The spirit world did not know that. Today they will die together, in 100 years. At least once someone's death goes wrong, and I was one of them. He gave his life to save Masaru. Because of this, he is given the opportunity to live again, but he has to do a job for it. Him Quail Marie spread detectives, we have to fight the yuccas. The world of souls, after that road was closed, Yukaira was no longer coming to Earth. But recently, something has happened that causes coming to Earth and making ordinary people prey upon themselves. Even that insect caused the death of those machines, that poke too. There was one type of Yukai for now, they have to kill that insect. Instead, she will bring her mother back to life. But he doesn't want to be alive because he's missing. Maybe everyone is happy about his death. He never heard of anyone alive. Now, why would she listen to Qualma? With that said, he got out of there, which sees Coil Mother staring at him in shock. From here, they go more direct, the tallest building in the city, standing there and sighing. This building was originally a club. The one who came in front of the club named Sakib, he is the businessman. Whether in the city, going into this world of Satan, who was trying to take over. Here's another rich businessman. We understand when talking to the star Sakib, all red knows it's a normal hole. Nine instead, through this pit, the devils go into the world. Then we see the butterfly. Whether they come to Mishi and try to convince him, everyone seems to love him before he dies. After his death, everyone will be happy. But only after death is the real known. So they, at least, go with him once. Orissa and agreed. We see them in the Egyptian house. The end of this fly is in the works, where her mother is sitting on one daughter crying. This is where all the students came to school. There were also bad students. They continue to thank Oramishi's mother over and over again here because they saved lives. Messi left this world. The little middle thought, Oramishi may or may not be sleeping here, so she tells her mom, they sleep in Egypt. After the breakdown, she wants to come back and thank Uramishi, which makes the fly emotional even after everyone leaves. There was a kayak and a fly mother sitting there where they were discussing the old days. When I was a child, I was sick. Then the two of them were sitting next to the fly. Here they are sitting, near the bat carcass today. That's how Kaiko was feeling herself for the death of the fly. Because that last time, the flyer was told to die, and that's when they speak in front of more mothers. Then she tries to comfort him, that nothing happened for Kaiga, don't feel responsible. On the other hand, Crystal was still killing those forgets. They're going to burn him. That's when the bug entered Kirin's ear and let something happen to him. There is infinite power in him. He began to beat them. Diashlai in the hands of the fruit boys fell to the ground. At that time, the petrol tank oil came into contact with the fire. There's a big one, Plaster. The boys fled in fear. That's when he's here. Quabara brings his sword and sees there was fire all around. Sometimes Kirin stands. Kaiko, sitting in the bat house on the other side, was crying. Then the fly came and wiped the tears from his eyes. Kaiko feels something and then ran out of the house. Kaikora decided to fly when he saw such a situation. Takes that. He will accept all the conditions of Quina and live again. Which makes you happy and happy to hear. And then it goes to Quinma. Meanwhile, his mother sitting next to the body in the machine. He felt something touching his body. That's when their house caught fire and people forcefully pull out those machine moms. Someone told me about this. If his body burns, then it wouldn't be possible to revive him again. At that time, Kaiko came in front of that burning house. The mother of the fly next door was screaming, "The fly is alive." She felt her body hot, which isn't too late. He then went into the burning house. His back goes to the spirit of the fly. I see him go inside. Kaiko trying to pull out the bat's corpse. Keeps telling Kaiku over and over again to dump the body right away, get out of this house. But by then, the fire had broken out. All around, Kaiko fell unconscious on her body. Then suddenly there was a thud, caught in the fire from above. On Kaiko, which traps the fly with no magical power, which makes Quenya and Boodle wonder. Then they ask more often, to keep him alive because he only wants to live for Kaya Kaiko, if not alive. There is no reason for him to live. She's willing to do everything. To save Kaiko, Quenba tells her to remember this. This is what Quenma says on the fly. Oh, her soul returns with they machine came out with Kaku in his lap from the house on fire. They showed their son alive like this. The mother of the machine is shocked, but they were not in the hands of the machine when they spoke to him. He then goes to Yoga to get the insect, which was still in Kirino, and was fighting with the whole team of Kuwahara, and they were losing them. In the meantime, they come together. She fights with Kirin, trying to get that bug out of him. If she doesn't do this fast, then with Kirino, that will become Yukaito, get this bug out of her. Must use Unamishi, getting your own speed, i.e., financial. Strength, which uses energy. She was wearing that shirt a while ago. But he couldn't understand how that financial strength use it slowly. The day also starts to turn in Yuka, after a long fight. Finally, Oramisi is able to stick the cream in the same spot. He keeps making Cream think he's a good man. And then, when Kirino slows down, control of the insect begins. That's when he uses his speed power. Kirin put a happy smile on his face, which caused the bug to come out of his mouth. By this point, the insect had grown quite large, the one who crushes themselves with his own hands. Then as soon as the light of day shines, goes back to his mother and Kayak and them. Egypt's mother couldn't believe seeing him alive. Then they mix and tell Kayak what he thought. She will tell him to die, and he will die. Kaiko laughs when she hears one. They were so happy to see Nishi alive in this way. But Queen Mother was not happy with her fight. He won the flight. But if he fights like this, he will never win with those three. Basically going to be facing the Uramisi very quickly. 3 in Yucca, the 3 are very strong. They are more for fighting them. Speed power needs to be strengthened. As soon as we speak, we see those 3 UIs, who is now 3. It was in the human body. They fight with some muster here, and the 3 take away the spiritual preparation, one of which was the ball. The second is a black mirror, and then the third object is a cane. The next morning, we find ourselves sitting on a school ground with this ball in hand, where the little kids were playing. A little girl comes up to that guy and asked him, "What is this ball?" Then the guy says, "This ball contains an infinite ability, A's." Soon as you say that, there is a strange air in the book. And all the little kids out there, fainting and falling down. We see that little girl has fallen too inside, which is a small. The light goes out and gets into that ball. I said. The guy laughed. There is no such thing as infinite power. The man just walked up from there. From this scene we can understand. This guy is one of those knights. On the one hand, traditional, with the help of these spiritual things. Started killing people on the other side. Until then, the soul world was undergoing training in Urimish, so that he gets his speed. Can go to Kejlar and shoot through fingers, but he couldn't have done this by focusing in any way. They know about all these kids. With the button, they went to the hospital and watching all those kids. At the same hospital, the rest of the friends were also admitted. Dad is here. They were feeling themselves responsible for this condition. I can see it in the meantime. From there, the Uramasi is going out. The Eurasian calls and asks about last night's fight, where in Europe, he also opened everything without hesitation. About that UK. What I saw later, grabbed the bum and pulled him from there. Here's a weird one, we understand the matter. And that's why no ordinary person could see the food. You could see the Buddha except for the Kuwabara. And since he could see Buddha, and he couldn't see his friend. So he understands that everything you say is true. I mean, Yoka really moved into this world. Now the yukata that was in the ball was named Koki Yoramishi's first task is to find Koki and then fight with him and snatch that ball. Button didn't realize that. How to win Uromishi without using speed energy, but Uromishi says his hands are enough to beat Goki since they didn't know where the cuckoo was. He was also very hungry. So in Uremish, he went to Kaikore restaurant where she meets Majaru and her mother, who came here looking for whether, thanks for giving them mishi, through the shrine here he can find a side. Many of the children were unconscious together. As soon as they know it, they run together, and he can see a guy with a running ball walking away from there. They understand better, that's the cuckoo. So he started chasing the cuckoo. But in a moment, cuckoo realizes it. So he started running away from the rural. His back is coming to a place like a garage where he can see that ball falling. He's going to take that. That's when the cuckoo is coming into his yukai form and attacked him. There's a lot of cuckoo here. Iram's shill fights with whose one stage was killing Kokilo Arami's CK. There is also a temple there, and the ball hit Goki's head and told him to release his brother. Since Goki, who ate the kids he sees Mazaru, they left. Messi and the soul of the shrine is taken inside the ball. He tries to interrupt her many times, but she can't stop him. First, he takes the spirit of the shrine into that ball and then the soul wants to eat the soul in front of the fly. Once she eats the spirit of the shrine, then it will no longer be possible. To save Mazaru, so they misty, then he put an iron object in his face, so that he can't close his mouth, and then he gets his speed. Using shoots Koki in the face, which makes the cuckoo die right there, and the ball runs out of his hand. It does stuck in the ball. The souls of all children are set free, go back to your body. Knowledge and knowledge returned. Euro's Aussie then sat him in his lap and this whole scene from afar. This is from within the employer. On another boat named Kurama he was watching, but he didn't come to help her save Gorky. We'll find out why he didn't come in a little while. For now, we see the palace of that businessman Star, who was detained in another UK. It was a girl Yuka. Whoever was trying to cry, the people of Tarkan. The Star comes there and managed to make him cry in pain. One tear rolled from his eyes, which in the moment becomes the most precious pearl. It was Saqib who originally gave this entry to Tarkan, and so that he can profit through it. But we see a guy from Tarkan who lives there, whether this girl Yukai who promises she will set her free, because seeing her remembers her own sister. At the time, they were talking to botanical gardens. Why was Kurama watching him from a distance that day, but Koki didn't come to help? Button Janai Kurama has Mira Roy Turkness with whom he can fulfill any desire. It only works at night. Maybe that's why he's waiting for the full moon. So before he full moon, do not engage in any fight with the fly, so that the flyer cannot stop him. By saying this, Butum goes into the world of souls, this whole scene from a distance. Quabara was hiding and watching, which leaves him no doubt that the button is spiritual, and the flyer has spiritual strength. The fly, on the other hand, was passing through the market. Just then, the burnt mom walks by, which they started to follow. Machine-burning mother takes a bouquet of flowers from the market. He then went to a hospital. He was doing this whole thing on purpose, so they went to the hospital to follow Mishi, which Cole Mao understood, but he couldn't understand why Kurama was doing that. Meanwhile, to pursue Kurama, Oramichi arrived at a hospital. By Kevin from behind, he said, she shouldn't worry when his work is finished. He's going to put the machine back in mirror turquoise. Meanwhile, Kurama's mother, who was admitted to the cabin, woke up and called the Quran to him. In the Quran, he did not understand what made it possible. How can a Yukai mother be human? Then Kurama told him to open everything. 17 years ago today, one strong hunter attacked Kurama at that time. Kurama himself, to save one pregnant, stuck herself inside the baby in the woman's stomach. He was born as a child of that woman. From then until 17 years, the woman kept him. At first he thought he will leave here soon after he gets his strength, whenever he found out about the woman's illness. There was a strange feeling in her. That feeling is love for your mother. There is no more time in his mother's hands for a month. She wants to save her mom. This is why she stole the mirror of Tarclips, so that he could save his mother on the full moon night, and only after he does that will the mirror of turnings return. It was quite a surprise to hear this and come to Orom. He couldn't understand what he should do now. They were listening to this whole conversation, as well as hearing from the world of spirits, Krianma and Bhutan Budan, say that he wishes that as if Kurama could live well with her mother, but Queen Mother says it's never possible again, because of what he says. As soon as they heard it, Bhutan ran to Mishi. Oramishi was then sitting at Kaiko restaurant eating, where he learns from the kayaker until she sees the bad use of cuff herself, until only according to people. Someone don't assume she's bad, which they think more about. Really is Kurama bad? What is bad in all yuka? Actually, yukai might feel like a bit of a jinn nation. This is why there are good genes as well as bad genes, so is the bad yoker as well as the good yoker. Now he was thinking about these, that's when butane comes in there, and who is it? The mirror of Turkness reveals another secret. They are in the mirror of Turkey. When someone wishes, then the mirror of Turkness takes the life of that wish. Instead, he says, Orami's the best, not to mention the rest of the Quran. Amlat is trying to save his mother with his life, so she fixed she would save my puppy life. That's when Kuwabara came to stop him. Kuwait is one thing. Didn't want to let lives be saved on the boat, but they didn't listen to him. He rushed to the hospital room, where already Kurama, he put his wish on the mirror, which led to Kurama going into the mirror world. Kuramishi jumps into this world without thinking about anything, which resulted in Kurama immediately Orami go to the world of mirrors. There he tried to explain to the Quran that when her mother is alive she can see that she isn't, then can he bear the tears of his mother? They aren't more that saw her mom crying for herself, so she knows this is not like suffering. That's why she gives half her life to her mother, so that the ashes are sold as well. The mirror of Turkness also fulfills his wish, and the life of my grandmother. Returns mother. Seeing such a reunion with the boy, Quivara realizes his mistake. Not all ecosystems are bad. Now we know that Kurama is not bad, but his mate. Hey, how do we look? Hey, whether that, with that magic knife he had, put a stick on your forehead, which opens her third eye. Then he made from your own tears, hold it in front of your third eye, which leads him to search for freedom. That's a little free. That girl came out of hiding. She was then carrying a man from Tarkan. Within moments, he approached the car, and 2% with his knife. Who is the car? And then he took the free one in the car, and left. When Tarkan knows about this, then he got very angry, immediately calls Sakyo and tells him this. They don't understand anymore. No, one yoga did this, so Sakyo tells Starkan he should then take Karim and go to Sakib, because he knows very well how to get tears out of Karim's eyes without that tear. Who can even protect you from yucca, through which the stars will benefit a lot. The star agreed, and after speaking to Tarkan, Sakib al-Hassan said, with one yucca there was another yucca on the shoulder. The two were so powerful in this yucca. Sakib also asked them to be ready. Why are they going to be fighting with the Wukes? Those who have spiritual objects. There was talk of Kurama, and Hey Tarkan went to Sakib's house. Then the star came to Habib, whose pursuit Uramish also reached there. You can get to know the people there. That girl is not here, which she's here for. Before he says anything, there comes the Uramishi, and the fight between the two of them started. He didn't want to fight with her at all. But that's what the Iranians were. Take that spiritual knife from him, but it fails in that work. And Hey threatened him and walked away from there. On the other hand, the girl who wanted to release Ye, that girl, I know Yukina's name. Now, the star arrived. On the island of Sakib, with Yukina, but there was only that with Sakib. Not so, but whole big businessmen of the country were present there. This is where their entertainment was arranged. This entertainment was the entertainment of gambling. There will be a fight between two UK, and these rich businessmen will gamble on them. This is their entertainment, joy for one, death for another. Now that in this fight there is a winner, he is placed as Stark's bodyguard, seeing his strength star doesn't have any more duets. Then they went to put Yukina in a safe place. Taking them there, they see you are not in that box. The guard fled with him, who was tasked with looking after whether or not the guard reached out with Yukin near the helicopter, but I was already waiting for already one in the UK. Yukina sub kills no not. Doing this gets Tarkan back like you can right then and there through Yukina's tears. He gets many free ones together, but she already knew about the marriage assault. So he shows CCTV footage of Sakyo, which saw Saqib also call the 4 Yukai, who are whoever arrives home safely. These two will also end. Meanwhile, Oram came and didn't understand how to lose who he is, and how to take that spiritual knife from him, then tell Buddha. Kuemna has arranged his training in the center of Guruma will train him for this fight. Then he shouted from a distance. Only the Uramic 9, will be training with Messi from that guru. Both are surprised to hear that, not to be confused with Butamki. Uramishi someone in Cuba, with you have to bring it to the house. Agreed to train one, but seeing so much stubbornness and willpower in Cuba, she gets pretty impressed, and asked him why she wants to take financial strength training. The northernmost part of the city is known, and the fish gives the dial, and that means losing the fish. For once in his life, he wants to lose Uramishi, hearing that the fight between Uramishi and him began. As a result, I am angry. They both get blown up in the air, then I want to start training. First of all, the European Union continues its drama. Why doesn't he listen to anyone? He does what he wants. This is everything. She doesn't want to obey any of the guru's training. He had a few fights with his wife. Meanwhile, before Cuyahoga, the Guruma served breaking stones with wooden sticks. I wonder if this is ever possible. But the Cuyahoga were not thinking so much. He was just trying to, what the guru says. If this continues, the Kuwaitis will rise first. Which leaves Uramishi quite. I basically understand the guru Uramishi is pretty stubborn. So he was using his insistence. But is it so straightforward to exploit the persistence of the reckless Uramish? It looks like 14 days pass, yet the Eurasians learned nothing, which sees the guru at one point and tell him to leave everything and go home. He and the rest of the boys, she and Thoa, will lose rent together. But hearing this, rather than growing up in Uramish, she comes out for smoking cigarettes. That's when he saw the cowboy. Whether this is for the 4 days, kept trying to break the stone with a wooden stick on. The one hand they trained more. Why did she promise Kuwait Mum Kuyavara on the other hand? Trained, so that he can protect the adopted. Basically what we wickets were. In that night fight time with, when her friends were seriously injured, and he was protecting them. It was then that he was born. She is being as strong as it takes to protect adoption, everything will be. It was with this hope that he kept trying, and in this attempt, he succeeds with the last letter. Whenever he hits that rock, that's when his soul power comes out. It turns into a sword. The stick is broken. The sword cut the stone into 2 pieces, which makes the Uramishi shocked with he understands he lacks this life. So he practiced all night and until 1 in the morning. Being able to stand on fingers, the guy is happy to see that. Then he took Urameshi out, using the same power, teaching to do so much to lose now. We can see that here. What we can learn from Kurama and his words, Yemulut took this knife just to free Yukina. Actually Yukina, her sister Kura, wants to help Mahi with her work, but instead, he wanted to hand over the knife to Uramishi. The words that do not agree on the other hand, right at this point. Let us know the true purpose of the she basically. That's why you wanted to take care of that hole. So that the door to the speed world being there, he can take the energy from the tip. The world can be one again. That is, in the UK. He wanted to make the world one, and you were helping that bad Yukata in this work, so that he can return to his world. This UID is so strong, it was whenever Uramishi shot that speed cannon, she can feel it, and she can feel this feeling, Grandma. She goes to Uramishi and asks him, is he ready to hold more power in yourself? He says he is getting stronger every day. His desire is to grow day by day. She wasn't like that until death. But after coming back from the death lap, he realized there are so many around. who trusts weather, he never wants to disappoint them. Guruma is happy to hear the words and the speed web that has been hidden within itself for so long, or gives it to Uramishi. And let him know. Her training ended today, can go from there. We understand the guru received a signal of danger. He didn't mean to say anything to Uramishi right now, so he smiles. Say goodbye to Uramishi and Koa Fence. Come back and wait for someone to come. We see a picture there. Where the guru had a childhood picture, there was another picture of the boy. In a while, that boy is moving in there. And this guy was somebody else in that powerful yoga. We understand this. Yoke and Guruma together, trained to harness the power of his speed, but one went the wrong way. Others were on the right track. Now there was going to be a fight between good and bad. You will never win that battle. This is why she with the speed wave wharf in between, with Uramai sent him far away from here. When you find out, you cover up a lot. On the other hand, we see that Uramishi weather so far. Then he was eating a meal at the restaurant. In the meantime, Kaiko is moving in there. Uramishi, after getting out of there. Kaiko was closing that shop. Something became a sound at night. Looking. In back at Uramishi, I see Kaiko not there. A little off, hey, gonna kidnap him on the shoulder fruit. Uramishi keeps chasing her like crazy. Meanwhile, this news also increased Butamkuya Bakuya Kuwabara. Then you go to the U. As Uramishi had already reached the hideout, hey, already set. She's here again because she saw Uramishi, but Uramishi did not listen to him. Starts fighting with him, so that he can free Kaiku. But the funny thing is, he didn't kidnap Kaiku. Hey, kidnaps Kite in form. The ship was carrying on that eyelid. Yukai, who changed that form. Kaiku is imprisoned next to Yukina. Don't tell me about it. Uramishi kept fighting with Hihi in their struggle. She stops. The misunderstanding between the axes and them also breaks down. He also tells her that she knows. Where are you from? She says more. Where is Kaiko? Someone has been taken there, but the surprise is kidnapping Yukina. Because they know, but they don't know why they kidnapped Kaiko. Perhaps they are plotting against them, since this is the purpose of the Imju. So they have to work at the same time, as well go to Kurama and Kuwabara to help them. Nobody wanted to take Kuwabara at first, but they have to give in to the stubbornness of Kuwahara, and he has to be taken along too. I was going to the island. Meanwhile, a guy from Sakib comes and tells them who he has been sent, who to take them to this island, let them go with him. All four of them are quite surprised to hear this. On the other side, we see the view of the groom's house, where a wall completely collapsed. And on the other side of the wall was the body of the guru. Meanwhile, the US doesn't say anything about it. I was going to that island. They were also being taken to a ship, where Uramishi is told by a man from Sakib that they have to fight different yuckers, like Sakib says. And if they win this fight, they will leave Kaiko and Yukina when it comes to Yurakurama. And who knows, then they don't know. Sakib wants to gamble with them, because that really was the case. Is all the big businessmen called there, those who were already sitting in their respective seats, Chua to have fun. I also tell the stars here, he has never lost a campaign. What Stark doesn't believe, 2 times he also gives proof of it. Still, Stark seems to, anybody can win twice. Then Sakib and a friend were hit by 5 bullets and leave a place empty. And he says he has bet his life many times before. He will do the same today to prove it. That's why he shoots himself in the head, but bullets don't come out, which proves once again, Sakib al-Hassan is very good. Meanwhile, Coil's mother found out about Guruma's death, but he didn't want to tell who Uramish was right now. Why this news might make him weak now, someone came to the fore. They do slowly moving forward along the road carved into the hill, because the speed is good. So he left them and ran from there. Going up the hill, the other 3 slowly move forward. At the end of the road, when they fall into a place like a room, when it arrives, there comes a yucca. This Yuk was one of those 4 UK. He was here trying to fight Axe. The other 2 left when they heard it. On the other hand, go to another yucca and reach in front of the diamond. Then at the same time, the 2 of them. The fight with Key starts, the people who were invited to the campaign. Meanwhile, Kayaker knowledge had returned when she finds out by talking to Yukina. He got kidnapped by Yukira. He couldn't believe anything. And so Yukina wants to see the wound on Kaiko's hand. Kaiko puts her hand forward without hesitation, kayak by Yukina magic. The hand fixes it perfectly, just watching the kayak. It is believed that there really is on this earth, and Yukina is also a Yuka. Meanwhile, there was a fight going on in terrible form within whose Yuka, the one that was fighting with Kurama, here. The boat was repeatedly telling Kuran to come into his true form, that is, in its own Yukai form. Everything here, different power was in the UK. Originally wanted to see the power that was in Kurama, but Kurama didn't want to leave his human form for anything. He can do it himself. He was fighting the infinite power of the UK. Realizing the opportunity, she also cuts a rose flower in UK hands. Here we understand Kurama power was originally caste-related. Here's forcing that Yukai Kuran to come into its true form. And then we see the form of Kurama Yukai. That looked a little bit like Shell only in her form. Here we see his deadly power. The vaccine was very difficult. There was nothing less than that in front. She was also struggling Hada with the axe only in the presence of the Quran. 9, but the Yuka in front of here was also quite powerful. He went into a fight and removed all his charms. And then with the power of your Yuka, gets ready to fight with Heion. The one hand his struggle was going on. Kaiko's breathing on the other hand had started to fade. Whoever gets there gets a card. With teaching Kaiku Uramishi leave the wood unconscious. He then took the wood he had and set Yukina free. Yukina didn't want to go with her because one tried to free him before, which resulted in the man having to die. You didn't want anything, Kaiko. Die for what? But Kaiko tells him she will never leave here without Yukina, so let him be brave. And the man who calls himself forgiven, let him not let his sacrifice go to waste. As a result, Ukinao agreed to flee with him. Meanwhile, the axe almost killed the Yuka in front of her. Suddenly, in the meantime, power runs out in Yuka, who is in ashes. He became an ordinary man. Meanwhile, someone who was in gambling was the axe and didn't. Bet on diamonds, which is why they were quite happy to see two lose friends. Already Sakib's eyes go to the next CCTV footage from where Shikaiko and Yu find out about Kinner's escape. They are both very careful. Slow down, Cat's eyes were moving forward with a blank. Suddenly they feel like a card is coming at them. Seeing the shadow, Kaiko hit that card with a happy punch. And see, it's a card. 9. Rather than his friend Kuwabara sees Kaiku in pain happy. To see you and your crush eat. Then he asks Kaiku out of shame, the girl that looks like this fairy next to her, the answer to which Kaiko introduces Yukina just heard Yukina's name once again. This is her sister. That's why I'm holding that Yuki's hand. She came here with her life at stake only to save him. Kaiko is absolutely shocked to hear this. This is such a big fight. Then you became Kinna's brother and finally, Lee using the power in your own Yuka His own hand awakens energy in the hole and your own Yuka. Then he attacks with this power on the Yuka in the front. The power in his Yuka was so powerful that Yuka in the front can't even lay in front of her for 1 minute. Within moments he was half dead. Even his condition had become so tragic that he lives again. Didn't want, so he went and asked her to end it altogether. But don't do it. She fucked him up there to die. Left on the other hand, we see the Quran. Whether he was running towards the US. She also sits in the UK's hands Yukai, throws him away with the little one in the moment. Then he attacked her, one after another, to kill her. Whenever he was moving towards Kurama, then Kurama asks, has he ever heard of the seeds of the tree of death? This is one bit, which moves quickly through the living human body, and this tree never disobeys the Quran. That's right in that yoga. He sees a seed in his hand. Basically, Kurama with rose blossom hit at first. Yuka caused a wound to his hand a little while ago when he was holding that hand. That's when he hid the seed in the wounded place of his hand, whose branches, by now that had reached the heart of the UK coming out who pierces Yuka in a moment, and that's where he died. Who are the two Yukas? He lost his mother, and through which all the guests of Sakib also lost, but Sakib them. The real game is about to begin. On the other side, we see Kaiko and Yukina with Cuban, who went in front of 3 doors. If you want to go forward, you have to open the door. With the card that Kaikoda haste trying to open the front doors. A door opens at 3. And as soon as they open, they are completely shocked. Why not a monster came out of there? in order to escape, from which all three begin to run to the prey whenever on Yukinai attacked. Then the cubs just going to yucking like a perfect boyfriend, protected from this smell. And when he did, he fell in front of the master. On this opportunity, Kaiko and Yukina move behind a shutter. Yiko turns on the switch, which caused the shutter to start falling down. This was their chance to escape the monster. So he's quick to Quabara asks to move to this side before the shutter is down. Kuwait is also able to do this by trying to apply. All three of them survived the attack. But they can't go too far because Illa Taguro had moved in front of them in this boat. Basically killed that wood that came to save Yukina. Also kidnapped Kaiko and brought her to this boat. This boat could take the form of any human at any time. And could have changed his body. Now it's about that. Expensed to you in advance. It's basically a tabloid. He also studied with Kaiser. But slowly he continues to use himself as a devil. It turns out to be a terrible devil, which results in... Its two forms of disease grows old like a guru, who we will call Elder Daguru. There is another form that is still young, and this youngster Skin Roy basically killed the guru to tell Queen Mayura Mishi couldn't even tell. Now I got to that place, where there used to be a fight between the Yucky Yucker from Sakib tells him if he could lose Toguru. Only then is he alive with Kaiko. We'll be able to take back, and right in front of Uramishi comes the younger Togero. She tells Uramishi what bad times have passed. Now having to fight with her kids, let's see what Uramishi learned from that old man. Just listening, Uramishi was shocked. And that's when Sakyo announced in front of everyone, whoever wins this game will win 3 times. Everyone gets very excited when they hear, because everyone already knew about the power of pieces. So everyone bets the way to Tuguru. Meanwhile, Sakib receives the news that the door has been opened. As soon as he hears it, he is happy. That's when we see the view of that hole. Where the speed world that was the door, he was able to open it. So now in numerous yuccas, no one can stop who from coming into this world. Meanwhile, Younger's struggle with Krara had begun. Uramishi S. Hadahadi was fighting. The fight between the two of them is so strong, the tower that was there collapsed, fallen on the room where Sachiora was sitting, which causes all the guests who come to camp there to run. He saved his life and escaped. Uramishir was fighting with Yonga Tauger on the one hand. Cuba, on the other hand, was fighting with El Dataguru, and in the first phase of this fight, El Dataguru, he was going to kill Cuba. Kaiko hit her head right then, which leads to him being excited to kill that Kaiko. I remember that day in Cuba. Couldn't protect her friends, which in turn recreates the speed frenzy within him. The speed sword is also made again, with the help of... He sliced Elder S' skin within moments, and seeing this, the other two continued to shout at him. Why hasn't he used these before? How many times have they put their lives at risk? They were talking about this. In the meantime, the old man attacked him. Yeah. Helder didn't die anyway. It wasn't that easy to die. This is the struggle of the world. Now we see who the speed world is. Where can Queen Mother know about opening that door? Which makes him worried, but his thoughts grew even more. When he sees numerous Yukipokas are coming out of that hole to prevent them. He quickly makes a save charm there, but through this protection, it wasn't possible to hold them for long, and the rate at which these insects were coming out, he didn't understand anymore who is responsible for this. So he goes straight away to Sakib for talking to him. Sakib isn't too surprised to see him here quail. Mom asks him why he doing that. I want to make the world bigger. Wants to come and see people in Yucca and live together. This is why she is remove the middle door and make this hole bigger. To create a balance in the world. The quail mother got very angry when she heard this and forbid him to do it. Then Sakib asked, how long will these protectors keep them in check? Certainly longer. 9. Why, if he could hold on longer, he would never come here by himself. Talk to Sakib. Now he will deliver the charm to protect himself. The nose guard will break and his Yukaira will come out. It's her decision. On the one hand, they were talking about it. Uramishi, on the other hand, was struggling with Leongar Tagore. Yet this time, Uramishi was going to throw Mary in. The meantime, it comes down there and save him. At that time, Kurama also moved there. And to say sorry to Uramishi for coming late. Uramishi is so happy to see her two friends That's when he said they didn't come here to save him, rather than being friends. The Quran came and laughed when he heard this, because he knew he's mind. Meanwhile, in such a situation, Saqib also gives the Coil Mother a condition. They both want to play a game. If Uramishi wins this fight, then Saqib will shut down his machine. Therefore, between Yukai and the world of men, the door will close again. And if you go to Tegar, then Quenma will have to move the grave to protect herself. Quenma says that if he does, then what is certain, Saqib will not build new machines again. And it won't start. Saqib says if he doesn't live, then this will happen or not. Why bet his life? Saqib says that if they win together, he will give his life. Why 2 World 1? Who made this dream of his life? If he doesn't have that dream, there is no meaning to his life. The Queen Mother agrees to this condition. And then Saqib told the piece that the plan had changed. This time they have to kill everyone. Hear what the piece says, he will gladly do this. That's when Queen Mother says to Uramish. This time the responsibility to save the whole earth rests on Uramishi. Don't lose this fight. But they say Mishi, he doesn't want to save the earth, he just lost Tuguru. Wants to save Kaiko from here. Just saying one thing with Togur, the 3 of them got into a huddle fight. It doesn't hurt to lose them. He keeps hitting them so effortlessly, can't even breath the speed song, sorta, just a small wound. Which gets right again in a moment. 3 people were thrown in 3 directions. In the meantime, there comes Cuba, Kaiko, and Yukina. They were basically looking for an escape door from here. When looking at the CCTV camera, Saqib Young just closed the door. And one opened the door and brought them here. Elder Skins came with them, which makes it quite happy to see the others walking this way. He says in the thought of betrayal, they sacrificed for people like that, which only left the Uramishi and the Kuibara shocked and groom. When they hear the news of their deaths, they shake their tongues. Here Eldart powder them gurus and youngsters, all stories, the story I told you a little while ago. But he's sitting here making a mistake. He says in front of everyone, Taguru was a man before, which later turned into Yukai. When he found out, he left. Learn about his past. Why did he turn to the Yuki elders that only this is wrong, but not? He makes even bigger mistakes, and that's why she's having so much fun with her old grandmother. Yungart Guru does not tolerate anything, because he once loved his wife. Eldart Guru, seeing him getting angry like this, remind him that they are both the same, but the young man says they are 2. Is more powerful, who killed C. Eldart Guru right there. Meanwhile, he heard the news of Guru's death. Quabara gets very angry. That's when Younger Skin attacks it. He came up with a flying saucer. He also continues to attack Taguru with your own sprite power. This is how to attack, burying him absolutely under the ground, which makes everyone happy. But despite eating tea, Quenmara would be happier. Forbidden why after. Right now Taguru comes out with power in Yuka and breaks the ground. So far he is none of his own. Power was not used. He says so far he didn't get anyone strong enough to fight themselves. This time he got it. Says one, she is, continues to attack Uramish with his Yukai power. Seeing his attack, Cole Mao kept thinking that he did nothing wrong by agreeing to that. There is already Buddha gives an information about Taguru. Past that Taguru was a teacher, just like Guruma in the past, the one who was attacked one day. She came here to basically fight Tagun, but after losing to Tagu, he became very small. So who kills all the Taguru students that are there, who cannot bear the sadness, and turns to Tagun listening to this in a kuka. Queen Mother keeps thinking something on the other side. They were trying at the time. 100% contained within Uramishi to bring out the real power, so he attacks Kaiko and Yukina. So that Uramishi uses his real power for the first time, he was the only one. Intimidating, but when it doesn't work, then he really attacks the Kaikos but save them. And then Fog and Axe attack her together, but they can't last long. In the meantime, Dogro understands that Kuwabara is Europe. She's pretty in love, so he turns this time into his prey before Cuyahoga. She wanted by killing Cuba Euro to awaken Messi's real power. Who to be totally dumb Kuwabara tells Uramishi that he has completely trusted in his power. He knows that Uramishi will save everyone, now after hitting him. Whenever Taguro is again Kaiko and you heading towards the edge, Then Uramishi stood up and attacked by Fajar's Taguru. At the end, he shoots at Taguru with the speed song, and the power of these shots was so high that everything around is shaking. This gets Shine Toguru, but he goes to say a word before he dies. That's "Thank you, Ura Machine, to release me." Everyone is surprised to hear that no one understands the meaning of his words, the first in his life. Lost condition on Monday Saqib also therefore turned off his machine, according to that condition. Then the door closed again. With that's where Budan and Quenma go from in his own world. What are you thinking? All of this was made possible by the death of Cuba. No, Kuwabara didn't die, he was still alive then. And whatever damage he had, does that fix you, which makes the Kuwabara absolutely healthy? She sat up and seeks forgiveness for the people of the earth. All sorts of things on him. For the room, whose answer is, the lawyer says that she likes them all. Just listen to what you like, as if happily going crazy. Meanwhile, that he's so fighting to save his sister. The sister didn't go to him after he was in front of her. He hands that spiritual bangle to the fly so that he can give it to the Eurasian as a result in the meantime. The promise is fulfilled in every way. This is how someone sees Uramisi win. Saqib also can't stand it anymore, since she promised if he loses the game, he will lose himself. She does so. Since he has a gun in his head and shoots himself, the friends all go out and leave for the ship. Where do you call this? And telling him he had a brother. But they were both lost as children. His brother promised him that she will find and protect him, right? But since he haven't seen her brother since he grew up, so she doesn't know her brother. When he heard it, he pulled the garland out of his throat. Which just shows I can understand if this is her brother, but Hay denies it. He says he is not his brother, he is only the boys in front of the girls. He speaks and moves forward. No one understands what that means. But we understand that all this time talked upside down. She's her own emotion to someone, don't show your love. He was still doing that with his sister, you kinda, even when they were returning by ship. And with the edge of you, the lines in the kiss were killing. Then he went there and said in his ear that fog, and you don't deserve to buy, so he doesn't want to hit the line with Yukina. Kuwabara gets very angry when he hears this. This is how their friendship continues and will continue. And at this time, Queena's eyes from the world of spirits are always on them. Will be here. Coil tells Mother Bhutan a true story. He knew they were wrong. Basically, in the fight that day, Taguro lost to Yukai. This is why her and Yuka, he killed all his students in front of him. Repentance after the incident, he began to punish himself. Turns yourself into a yucca first, and then fights everyone waiting for that man, which will end him. She turns out to be the strongest Yuka ever. I want to see someone who, whether to kill all the mighty Yukai, whether or not. No one else Urami came, since Togo S already to be on Earth has suffered a lot, so Coil S mother gives him the responsibility to determine his fate. He will either lose or be happy. It will determine that as expected. Yet decided that he would go to hell. This is why she was heading the way of hell. But Game K trying to interrupt him along the way. That is, gurus. But he doesn't listen to the guru and ask to pay attention to the Uramish. He goes to hell himself. And that's where today's story ends. How this story felt to you. Don't forget to report it in the comments. This movie is Restaurant, taken from Japanese manga, whose name is Yu Yu Hakusho. Hope you liked the story. So definitely gonna get 1 like and 1 share.